Welcome to the Rialto Marketing Podcast. Today's episode is a revenue acceleration series interview where we talk to seven-figure B2B professional service firm owners that are actively trying to grow their business and get to the next level. We talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly so that you can learn from their experience. Hi, I am Tim Fitzpatrick with Rialto Marketing, where we believe you must remove your revenue roadblocks if you want to accelerate growth, and marketing shouldn't be difficult. Thank you so much for taking the time to tune in. I am super excited to have Nick Damalakis from Orasys with me today. Nick, welcome. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
I got your last name right. I got the company right. I
was going to get you props. I mean, it is a Greek background, and you nailed it from the beginning. So I have high hopes that this will be a great podcast.
Yes, I'm looking forward to this. Before we jump into the meat of the interview, I want to ask you a few rapid fire questions. Are you ready to go?
All right, let's do it. I got my water right here. I'm ready to go. Let's do it.
So very quickly, what do you do? How long have you been doing it?
What do I do? I'm currently the CEO of Orasys. So I like to look at myself as someone that sets the vision for the organization, hold people accountable, and chief culture officer here.
Cool.
Been doing
and
it for
what do you guys
23 years, by the way. 23
How long?
years. 23 years.
23 years.
Yeah,
Damn.
started on 2000, my wife and I,
yeah. You're doing something right, Nick. So what do you guys do at Orasys?
What do we do? We develop custom software. So we don't build on any third-party applications or anything like that. People come with ideas to us, and we build what's in their head. So the web's kind of like our canvas, and we just build custom applications from apps to ERP, stuff that runs companies, niche leading companies, from the NFL to mom and pop shops.
Cool. So you make their vision a reality.
Absolutely, and that's what Orasys means in ancient Greek, by the way.
Really?
It means vision.
I love it.
So you sold that for me. Thank you for setting that one up. That was a
softball. Sometimes I get things right. What's the most important lesson you've learned?
I would say throughout time, as a business owner, being your authentic self, not trying to be someone that you're not, being your authentic self. And, I would also say making sure that you know what that is. And so you can be that, which is a journey in its own.
It sure is. It's fun. It's interesting you bring that up because I interviewed somebody a while back who was talking about being authentic, and she was saying, for the first few years I was running my business, I was struggling, and I realized that I wasn't being myself. And the minute I flipped that switch and just started being myself and being authentic, things completely changed for me. So thank you for sharing that. So 23 years, you've been through some good times and some bad times. Do you have any kind of mantra or motivational saying or a story you want to share with us that's helped you push through?
I think there's two things that really that I use. And one is what I call the Buddha questions. I don't even know where this came from, but when I put these three questions out, whenever there's hardship or lessons to be learned, and someone randomly said, "Man, you're like Buddha." And now I just call them the Buddha questions, and they're really simple, and whenever there's hardship happening or difficulty or things that are just difficult for anybody, I always ask myself, how did I contribute to the situation? That's the first. What am I supposed to learn from this? And then I ask myself, now that I have this information, what positive next steps can I take? And I kind of keep that as my three rules, my three things that keep me in check. And I think is also a great example for anyone that I work with, or even kids. It works great at home as well.
Yeah, there's fantastic problem-solving questions, right?
Yeah, we're all about here of a organization where you can debrief situations and not point fingers. I mean, that's what it's all about. And you really have to look at yourself first. And that's why the first thing I always say is, how did I contribute to this situation? I had to have done something, and you have to acknowledge that before moving forward.
Yeah. The Buddha questions.
Buddha question.
You need to coin that. Those are good. I like it.
So we're starting off strong, is what you're saying.
Yes, we're starting off strong. We're starting off strong. We can only go downhill from here.
Yeah. Thanks.
So, if you had to choose something, like, what would you say has been the biggest driver of your growth so far?
Ooh, the biggest driver. I guess it's all about stories and so forth. The biggest driver. I mean, there's a lot here. That's a loaded question for some reason. It is a loaded question, especially over 23 years of doing this. So I'm going to break it up.
Okay.
There's two halves of our business. The first half, which the driver was a lifestyle business, and I didn't even know it, but it is what it is. And for the first half of this organization's life, really it was a lifestyle company that we did great work. We loved what we did, but there was no end game. It was just a lifestyle company. It allowed us to live. It allowed us to have families, buy our homes, start a family, so forth, and travel. And it was awesome to see team members start doing that. So it was really like a lifestyle company in the beginning, quite honestly. From there, once my kids were a little bit older and I was able to, my wife and I, who both own the company, said, let's start growing this now. Now let's change it. It was a lifestyle company. Now let's change it and grow it. Let's put a little bit more time and energy in growth. And, the thing I can tell you is it's all about alignment with the people around you, knowing what you want. And once you know what you want and what the goal is, then it's clear to get there. So I say that in two halves, because I think there's some organizations that are just lifestyle companies, and there's nothing wrong with that. Acknowledge it for what it is. And it's okay. It's not right or wrong. It's your organization. You get to choose it since you're the CEO. Yeah. But there is a time in our lives where we're like, let's now drive it, and let's put some energy in that. And it's a different ride. So to answer that question, it's just knowing authentically what you really want. And once you know what you want, then getting there is a fun journey.
Yeah. Nick, I love how you answered that question, because I think so many of us don't really know exactly what we want, and because of that, we don't get to where we reach this destination, and we're like, crap, this is not it.
It's so true, and it's okay. A lot of people I work with and talk with, other CEOs, everyone's so worried about the end. Yeah. Oh, I'm gonna grow it. I'm gonna give it to the employees. I'm gonna ESOP it. I'm gonna sell it. I mean, there's all these options, right?
Yeah.
It's okay as you're starting off and you're just doing what you love and you're happy and it puts a smile on your face. It's okay to have a healthy company that you show up to, and it provides a lifestyle. Just acknowledge it for what it is. Yeah. And I didn't know what that really was, or that word, a lifestyle company, was, until I started really talking with other CEOs out there and put that vocabulary word to it. And it was okay. I realized that there were other people like that too.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing too is it's a journey. What I want, or what you want today, may be different, a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. We just need to constantly have that top of mind so that we can make shifts and course corrections as needed.
Yeah, I've been really fortunate to keep a journal throughout the years. Okay, this is what is important to me now, and this is what I want to accomplish this year. And over the course of seeing that over 23 years is magical. From, hey, I just wanted to find love and get married. Then it turned into, I just want to start a family. And it's so cool to go through the life and the journey and just experience it, and live every moment present and not worry about the destination, but enjoying the journey. And I think some people just miss that nowadays.
Yeah. Yeah. It's easy to miss it, right? There's so much noise out there. If you don't create space to eliminate that, you just get lost in it.
Yeah. Agreed.
So it's really tough. So I know one of the things we talked about in the pre-interview, you guys are committed to having an entirely US based company. And actually before we started recording, you told me that map behind you, if people are watching video, you got dots on that map, and that's where all your people are. Which I think is super cool. You know, that you obviously made the conscious decision to do that. Does that contribute to your ability to distinguish from competitors? Because I mean, I know in the software development space, a lot of overseas stuff. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's doing what's opposite of everyone else. And,
you're zigging while they're zagging, right?
Yeah, when the book came out, The World is Flat, everyone's like, oh, we got to start shipping out all this software development across seas because you can get developers for 1/5 of the price or whatever the number was. Didn't matter. What makes us who we are here at Orsys and what we stand by is really the culture that we have here. And culture is something that is very difficult to do when people are around the world. And I give credit to companies that have figured that out. I am a touchy-feely person. I like to have presence that people can come together often. Yeah. I love bringing people together around food and wine. That's what I enjoy. And I'm a big fan of play. I think you learn more about a person in an hour of play than a year of working with them. And that's really what our culture is about. And by having everyone in the US, it allows us to have that culture that's a little bit unique from the competitors. That culture leads to more engaged team members, low turnover, and just people coming to work with good connections and meaningful relationships where it's more than just the company. People work for each other. They don't want to let each other down because there's meaningful relationships there. And that kind of bonds us together as a company a little differently than the others. And when you're dealing with difficult projects, that's when it shines. And it's proven in our results.
Yeah. So do you feel like that philosophy has helped drive growth?
It is. At first, it could have been a deterrent, but then we just didn't know how to shape it and work with it. And now we have where, there is a market with companies that have to do large scale, complex problems, complex projects that need US based only developers. Yeah. And we go after that niche.
Do you actively promote in your marketing and sales efforts that you're entirely US based?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's definitely, and there's nothing wrong. Look, there's nothing wrong with having businesses that outsource across the world. It's a great business model. It's awesome. It's not for everything. Right. And we found what we want to go after, the type of work we want to go after. And in order to do it well to the ways that we know how, you have to have this really strong bond within the organization and the team members. And the way that we have figured it out is by keeping it local, high touch, intimate connections where we know each other. And it shows when we get together once a year for a retreat that is just all play, nothing else. You see that, and people get energized, and it's a great organization like that.
Yeah. Well, and the fact that you actively promote that in your marketing, it's a differentiator. You naturally attract people that is important to, right?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, people that it's not important to them, then they go somewhere else. But you naturally attract the type of clients that you want to work with.
Yeah, it's not transactional, and even in sales, when we meet up, we bring the team down, and it's the conversation is, hey, let's have a good meeting. Let's go out to dinner afterwards. Let's learn about each other.
Yeah.
So we have something more to talk about other than how to build project X.
Yeah.
Because no project goes smooth.
Right.
And I should say, no complex project goes smooth. They all have their ups and downs. And what gets people through those ups and downs is having trust with each other, where the person's competency, and you connect with them, and their character. And when you know that, you build trust, and you're able to really do things that you never could do.
Yeah. Let's we got to talk about marketing. I mean, I'm a marketer, so let's talk about marketing and sales a little bit. Can you kind of just tell us how your marketing's evolved? Trace that evolution.
Absolutely.
What was it like initially, and what's it like today?
It's a great question. I'm sure with small businesses, when I say small, people that are going from a single entrepreneur to your first 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, so forth. In the early onset, people usually buy the entrepreneur in professional services. And there's different scales along the ladder as you move. But the first one is, unfortunately, sometimes people buy that individual. What a person has to figure out, the entrepreneur, is how do I scale that so people aren't buying me? And I don't mean to say that narcissistically. It's just that's the person who started the company. Of course. Yeah. So there's that shift from moving from, hey, you're buying the entrepreneur, to you're buying the people, and then expanding that more and more over time is the secret in professional services. And one thing we do really well, I believe, is always keeping the heart and the soul of what Horses was in 2000, that drive that made us start it and what made us unique, and share that story and make sure that we hold to those values as we move forward, and making sure that they stand true. So we're delivering Oris's quality work. And that's what it's about as we grow.
Do you have a sales team now, or are you still involved in the sales process?
No, we got a great sales team. It's a group of 3 inbound, outbound sales team that are out there looking for complex projects. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's one of the first big steps that helps get people out of that owner-led sales and buying the owner instead of the organization.
It was one piece. I would also say, I'd add on to that, getting out of operations. So, you got to make sure you're not involved in day-to-day operations.
Yeah.
And then, or it's one or the other usually, then making sure you're not involved with day-to-day sales, where you're the one that the whole company relies on, one individual for sales. You can't have that either for scalability.
No, you can't. And depending on what the end goal is, right? If you want a saleable business, it needs to be able to run without you, right? And so
that's the ultimate goal. That's the ultimate goal for many reasons.
Yeah. So what's working for you marketing wise? I know when we initially connected, a lot of your businesses is repeat, correct?
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. So that's a big part. When you're building professional services, usually someone says, do this project, you do it, you're done. Well, now that leads to a feast or famine type of roller coaster ride for a lot of professional services. So what we've done over here strategically is looked at the type of work we're doing and how can we create recurring revenue. Recurring revenue being defined work that you doesn't require a team member to do constantly, right? And then there is work that you do have to do, which are billable hours in professional services, and having a healthy mix as you move forward. So we believe we cracked that code to a healthy percentage, where 80% of our work year over year is recurring clients. And the portion of that 80%, by the way, is recurring revenue for maybe hosting, maintenance agreements, so forth. And then the other portion of it is hourly work, right? And that leaves us with a 20% gap that we have to fill year over year as we keep growing. And our goal is nice and steady. We don't want the hockey stick. We don't want any of that with growth. We want a nice, healthy 15, 20% year over year. And we find that to be really healthy in professional services. That's scalable. It's good for the culture. It's good work-life balance. And it's really, I'm not going to say the word easy, but it's easier to keep the soul of the company of what made it special from the beginning.
Well, and at that, I mean, that's still a very healthy growth percentage, but it's not so great that it becomes really difficult to manage.
Yeah.
I was the first company I was involved in, we grew an average of 60% a year for 9 years.
Yeah.
Sometimes it was like stuff was coming so fast you couldn't see it.
Yeah. And it's really difficult in professional services, and those listening to this that do professional services, you're only as good as your team. I mean, it's professional services, it's people doing the work. And we've had 60% year, growth on top line revenue. It's a challenge. I'm happy we did it. We experienced it. We got through it. It was good, but it has a challenge to it as well. As you really have to have an organized, streamlined method that your hiring methodologies have to be spot on.
Yes.
And that alone is a project in its own. And, you got to be real careful on the people you let in that allow you to grow and hit the growth metrics you want with the client retention that you need and the client experience. I mean, we excel at making sure that our clients have a great experience. That's what it's all about. The white glove treatment.
Right.
And if you Google Orsis reviews, I'll let that speak for itself, but that's what matters.
Yeah. So what are you doing you've got that 20% gap.
Mm-hmm.
What are you focused on to fill that 20% gap?
Yeah, it's a healthy mix of a lot of things. And I'll say this, prior to COVID, a lot of it was getting out there, shaking hands, meeting people.
Yeah.
And we excelled at that. I mean, it was something that was natural to us and our team. And then one day it stopped. Right?
Right.
It stopped, along with a lot of things. It stopped.
Yes.
And it was funny because we got really lucky because, starting that year in January, the first thing I said is, hey, I'm going to start working on SEO on our website. We're going to change everything. We're going to do, a whole slew of things differently. And I love the marketing aspect of things. Love it. And I kind of said, guys, let me go lock myself in a closet and let me just focus on this one problem and let me do it to the best of my abilities. And it was huge. I mean, the results, it took time. Yep. Redoing a website, getting the messaging right, knowing the target, the ICP, what we're going after, why we're going after, what type of clients we want, where our competitors are at, and doing a SWOT analysis and really digging in to the minds of people that are looking for the type of work and how they're finding us and what they want to see. And, it took about 8 months of work, I would say. And then all of a sudden, the blogs we were writing, the digital footprint that we put out there started to give us results. Yeah. And they started trickulating in. And, there's a couple of those like little fish, I call it, that come in and you reel them in and you land those. And then all of a sudden, whoa, you got yourself a giant whale. Yeah. And it's kind of cool when those whales come in. It's rewarding that when you do SEO or blogging and you put your thoughts out there and a year later someone reads about a healthcare dashboard system of a process that you put together that you wrote a year ago, and it's giving you one of your largest leads a year later, it just keeps feeding you. And that's the type of marketing I really like. Um, so, I like putting stuff like that out there.
Yeah. I want to pull out a couple things here because this is really good. So, started focusing on SEO. You touched on the
Absolutely.
fact. So you're writing content. Um, you're planting seeds. Some
Yeah.
of these seeds
A lot of
grow.
seeds.
Some of them don't. A lot of them don't. But the ones
Yeah.
that do grow can become very, very fruitful. You
Yeah.
mentioned it was after that 8-month mark. For some people, it's even longer than that. But
Oh yeah.
the thing that I always like to pull out of this is long term, right?
Yeah.
As humans, we're wired to think short term, like short term gratification, and so many people make the mistake with marketing. They start doing things, and they're 30 days later they're like, oh, it's not working. Let's shift gears, right? And so they
Yeah.
don't give things a long enough time to start
It's
seeing
true.
progress.
And it was really, again, I don't want to sit here and say I have a lot of these answers, but I was so confident that, one, I believed in what needed to get done. And then two, I did enough research, which really wasn't that difficult, and got pitched by so many different companies. So I got educated that I started understanding what the metrics of success were short term that would lead to long-term results. That's really important. So what are the short-term key indicators that, as long as they were trickulating up, I knew that something would hit? And you just got to believe in it. And it's tough because in marketing, you're sitting there, you put a strategy down, and to me, marketing is nothing more than a bunch of micro experiments that you keep trying, and some hit, some miss, but you got to keep trying. That to me is how I do marketing.
No, you're totally right.
I love micro. And and then if the business isn't getting a ton of new logos and sales, you start getting this pressure, and this pressure is like this monster over you. That's like, how much longer do we got to wait? I mean, it's been a quarter, it's been 2 quarters, it's been 3 quarters. Then it's, do you know what you're doing?
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
And then you start doubting yourself, and it's really hard. And I don't know. For me, I was able to do it because, I mean, it was my own money as the owner of the company and so forth, But if I was a team member reporting to a CEO, and it would be really difficult. It would be really difficult.
Well, you highlighted something here, Nick, that is super important, because that's one of the big mistakes people make is they invest, and then a year later they're like, oh my God, I just spent 50 grand or 100 grand or whatever it is. And they're like, this didn't work. And one of the reasons they get to that place, knowing that a lot of this work takes time, they have not identified those waypoints or those leading indicator metrics. Like, what are we looking for at month 3? What are we looking for at month 6 and 9? If you've got those outlined ahead of time, then you know whether you're heading in the right direction. And so you can head things off the pass, and you're not asking that question at 12 months. At 3 months, you're like, hey, we're not here. Like, why?
I agree.
Huge mistake. And thank you for bringing that up, because that's how you can help avoid some of these huge missteps that cost time and money.
Because and it's hard because you're spending so much money in it, and hope is not a strategy, and
no.
Earlier, marketing is these micro experiments, but you have to believe in what you're doing, whatever the micro experiment is. You got to believe, you got to do it 100%, and then you got to have like checks and balances as you go. And the easy thing with marketing, especially SEO, it is really, really easy, really, really easy to monitor and watch the progress. And it's super easy. It's either going up or down. It's very simple. And, and I'll share this, like, what is success when you're looking at SEO, showing up on the top of Google for certain words, and the whole thing of, finding the right words, blah, blah, blah. And sometimes it only takes one. And the one word that we stumbled across through a micro experiment, where we were probably 6 months in of okay results, we'll say, the hope results, the ones that say, yeah, it's looking good. Keep doing what you're doing, right? The thing that CEOs hate hearing, right?
Yes.
Keep doing what you're doing. It's going to work any minute now. Well, what ended up happening that we found is there, with words out there, finding the needle in the haystack, the words that are really, really important of things that you do that no one else is going after.
Yeah.
No one else is going after. And we happened to come across a word that no one was coming after. It was custom ERPs. And if you know technology, ERPs are multi-million-dollar projects.
Yeah.
To do a custom one is pretty crazy and really unique if you have to do it. But there is a niche of people that need it for multiple reasons. No one was going after the word. All I had to do was write one blog about it, and we'd be top of the list within a week. We did it. And that month, we got one of our largest leads that came in, and we closed it 3 months later. Real quick turnaround, everything, all by following, the SEO strategy. That's pretty standard.
But if thank you for sharing that, because it's a great example. And I don't know, this better than I do, but custom ERP, it may not have a ton of search volume.
No, none.
But
very little.
The people that are searching for that, pretty high buying intent keyword. And the dollar value associated with one of those projects is extremely high, right?
Yeah.
So you don't need that much volume. If you convert some of those, it makes it all worth it, right? And so holistically, you've got to look at the keywords from an SEO standpoint, and how much intent is there? What is going to happen with this keyword overall? And it's a great point, right? There are opportunities in any business. You just got to find those keywords where there is opportunity, and you start to create content around it. And like you said, a lot of what you do is not going to work, and that's okay. But the ones that you do that work make everything else worth it.
You just got to experiment. You got to keep at it. It's you got to find joy in the work of doing it too. Yeah. And once you do that, you're off to the races.
Yeah. Absolutely. So as you expand, what challenges are you facing, and what are you doing to overcome those?
Let's see. So we're hitting, we're hitting about 62 FTEs. So we're still a small company, going from 50 people here, and hopefully in the next 3 years we'll be at 100. So what are the challenges as we grow in that part? First, I would definitely say, the saying that I always heard from CEOs when we were much smaller was, "Oh man, I'm working in the business, not on the business." And I kept hearing this term all the time. And the reality is, especially when you're a smaller company, you're doing both. I mean, it is what it is. I have not met a successful company that really digs at it. That's a great company, that's sustainable and awesome, where the CEO isn't grinding, in the business. But something flips at a certain point where you have the right team members in the right seats at the organization, working on the same mission, with the same values. And there is a point that happens, maybe when you're 30, maybe it's 50, maybe it's 60 people, where the CEO can start coming up for breath now and actually start working on the business.
Yeah.
And for different CEOs, it's different. But I'm starting to peek out of there a little bit. I'm actually starting to have that breath, that time to actually stand up and look at things from a different perspective.
Yeah.
Have higher level conversations with different organizations that enlighten me differently, and taking that enlightenment, giving it to our leadership team to execute on. or to have discussions on. So that's probably one of the biggest things that I see that's a little different now. And the growth challenge is releasing, letting go,
Yeah.
which is the greatest feeling in the world, because that means that you brought people up and they rose to the occasion, and you're part of that, and you did that. And that's probably one of the most rewarding feelings ever. But you got to let go. You got to let go. You got to let others be in that spotlight and make those decisions, good or bad, and coach them along the process.
Yeah, I really like that, because it's, if you want to build a business that runs without you, you got to let go, right?
You got to let go.
You have to. You can't work on the business unless you create space for yourself to do it.
Yeah.
You know, like one of the things that, and look, I run into this, a lot of us run into this, where it's like, it's really hard to make progress if your schedule is packed to the gills. If you're just busy, you're never going to really get where you want to go. You've got to be able to create space so that you have that time to really think about what you need to do to get where you want to go.
Correct.
So I like that. So you're getting used to delegating.
Well, I always had this little rule where, if something came into my mailbox, it's like, who could I delegate this to first?
Yeah.
Then my second question I ask myself is, whose job am I doing right now? So, and sometimes I do find joy in doing little mundane things, because a lot of the work I do takes a year or longer to see it from beginning to end. So I know that my issue is I like doing little things that I get instant gratification of, because it brings little joy. And sometimes it's kind of cool to, for me, I think, seeing, the owner of a company unloading the dishwasher, big deal. I don't do it for that reason. I do it because it brings me a little bit of joy, and it makes me humble to remember the days when I had to do that.
Yeah.
And it's a good reminder sometimes. So you got to let go, though.
Yeah. This has been a great conversation. I have enjoyed this, and I know people are going to get a ton of value from it.
I hope so.
I want to ask you one last question, which is, knowing what you know now, anything you would do differently?
I don't think there is, and I don't mean to sound terrible when I say that.
No, it's
I've
okay.
been very fortunate. It's the journey. It's the ups and downs. I mean, we've had some terrible downs, great lessons learned, but you have to go through that. There's no fast forward jump from where I was in 2000 to today. That doesn't exist. Yeah. And if it did exist, I wouldn't want it, because I would be a different person. I really enjoyed the journey along the way, the ups and downs, the learning moments, the hardships. I always tell my wife, like some of the happiest moments in my life was, when we started the company and we would scrape up quarters out of the couch to pay for a pizza, right? Like those were great moments, right?
Yeah.
And you'll never get those back. So it's just enjoying the journey along the way, being present in the moment. So I'm really don't have too many. I don't have any regrets. It's been a fun journey.
So because you work with your wife, do you find yourself taking work home a lot, talking to each other about it, or are you pretty good about like, hey, we're not going to talk about this right now?
Probably would have to bring her into the conversation for that, but I'll say that it was very yin yang. We do two different things that fit perfectly together to make a whole. Yeah. So I'm big picture. I'm out there. I'm a different, if you do a predictive index on me, I'm a maverick. I'm way over to one extreme.
Okay.
Well, she's on the other side, right? She's extreme detail, and you need the two. I cannot sit there and look at a 10-page legal document to start a company and execute all the things flawlessly. Would never be able to do that.
But she does.
She does it with a smile. She does it with joy, and you need the two.
Yep.
So Been really fortunate along the process to find someone early on where we were able to build something together, be able to find that it was the right fit on top of that. I mean, these things are just, the rarity of this ever happening to anyone is so rare. How could I not sit here and tell you I don't have any regrets on anything? It's so unique and awesome, and we're just blessed in so many ways. But it did come with a lot of hard work.
Yeah, it always comes with a lot of hard work.
Comes with a lot of hard work.
Yeah. Even those people we see that were like, oh my God, they were an overnight success. No, there was just a lot of stuff you never saw.
Yeah, I love that graphic that's out there of a glacier, and it shows like the top of the glacier.
Yes.
It's like, this is what success looks like to people.
Yeah.
And then, 98% of the glacier is underneath the water, of all the hard work, the grit, the staying up all night, all the things that it took, the risk. And, that's what I'm wired for. I love that stuff.
Yeah, it's awesome. I love it. Nick, thank you so much, man. Where can people learn more about you?
Man, people can learn more about us by just Googling Orases, ORASES. You can read about our reviews online. You could read Glassdoor and learn about our culture, or just go to orases.com and read what we have to say about ourselves.
Cool. I love it. And I'm guessing there's not too many Nick D's on
Nick
on
LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Nah. Feel free to reach out on LinkedIn. If anyone hits me up, I love sharing. I love sharing stories. I love helping. I truly do. So always open for conversations, building new relationships and sharing. That's what it's all about.
Cool. I love it. Nick, thank you. Please go reach out on the website. We'll make sure all that info is in the show notes. Nick, thanks for taking the time.
Awesome.
Those that are watching, listening, thank you for doing so. Nick shared a ton about his journey. We're all about what you can do to accelerate revenue growth. If you want to accelerate growth, you got to remove your revenue roadblocks. And if you want to know which of the 9 are slowing down your growth, you can do that over at revenueroadblockscorecard.com. You can also always connect with us over at rialtomarketing.com. So, Nick, thank you. Audience, thank you. And until next time, take care.